About the immune response, some of these can go so overboard and become so inappropriate, they can threaten the life of the patient as well as making life just plain miserable. Hypersensitivity is the subject, and this is defined as an overreaction to a foreign substance that would not occur in a normal, and that is in quotes, a normal individual. So this is a very subjective definition. It really depends on the individual. And what it does is it changes a protective response to a potentially dangerous response. Now, this can range from something very annoying, like a runny nose during hay fever season, to something that can cause death in a matter of minutes. So the range is huge, but it's all part of the over response of the immune system that we call hypersensitivity. And it's very similar to the overreaction of the inflammatory responses. The built-in systems just don't always protect us. They may either underreact or they can overreact. In way of a little bit of definition, we generally reserve the term allergy to refer to the deleterious effects of hypersensitivity to the environment or environmental allergens. So this is a little fuzzy. It's like Potter Stewart's definition of pornography. He said he knows it when he sees it. Well, I think we all know allergies when we see them. It's just hard to put a specific definition on it. And allergy, as opposed to immunity, is that immunity refers to the protective responses. So they're very closely related. They're mediated by the same systems, the same cells and soluble mediators that we've talked about. But basically, the immunity tends to protect us from the invaders, while the allergy may cause more trouble than protection. There are a lot of common allergens out there. Anything that produces allergy is an allergen, just as we talk about antigens. The most common group is really foods. By and large, foods cause as many allergies as almost anything else. Milk is a particularly bad actor in this regard. I think most of us know what it's like to have a glass of milk or ice cream and get that phlegminess in our throat and our nose that makes us, at best, just clear our throat, cough something up. And this is because we immediately are recognizing this as a foreign protein. Comes out of the wrong end of a cow, and it's not ours. Peanuts, very, very allergenic. Eggs can be allergenic to many people. Shellfish, these are all foreign proteins. And in some places, milk is blamed on, for example, ear infections in children. We like to think milk is the perfect food. We give children lots of cow's milk, and when they react, they have tiny little tubes, eustachian tubes going to their ears, and they're easily blocked by that kind of reaction and maybe leading to more ear infections than if they didn't take so much cow's milk. Another big group is the antibiotics, things we use to cure diseases. Penicillin among them is one of the most allergenic of the antibiotics, and I'll talk about that specifically when we talk about infections and antibiotics. The other huge group is naturally occurring venoms, bee stings, ant bites. Ants are actually the origin of the name for formic acid, which comes from the Greek for ant. Wasp bites, snakes, jellyfish, stingrays, they all produce venoms in their effort to either protect themselves or kill their prey. And this is a rather wide range of reaction because we have the toxin itself, the venom that's being injected. And these can be neurotoxins. They can cause paralysis of our nerves or our brain. Hemolytic reactions, which is very common in rattlesnake bites. This is where the toxin breaks down all the red cells in your body, or many of them, and releases hemoglobin into solution so that, number one, you get an immediate anemia, but also damage to organs like the kidney that can't stand a big influx of hemoglobin. Or direct tissue necrosis. We now know what necrosis is, tissue death, and these toxins can cause tissue death. That's the main effect and the intended effect. Now, bites can lead to allergic reactions. They are usually very complex proteins, and you may find that the patient may have an allergic reaction to the bite or the venom. It requires prior exposure, but second or third time around, they can get a severe allergic reaction. And then finally, you can get a whole immune response where you, if you survive the bite or the toxin, the envenomation as it's called, you can develop antibodies that protect you from the venom. Now, normally when somebody's bitten, we give them anti-venin, which counteracts the toxin. So we're using an immune system in another animal to protect the patient. But there's a very famous curator of a serpentarium who's been bitten so many times by animals that he actually has all these antibodies in his body. And he, in turn, sends his blood or goes to the place many times where people have been bitten by rare and exotic snakes and gives his blood to that patient as a direct transfusion of the antibodies against the venom.